President Donald Trump officially sends his own invading force to Syria, dwarfing President Obama's invading force in Syria. We have to go to the Christian Science Monitor, March 13th, 2017. The 400 Marines dispatched to northern Syria last week to back up U.S.-trained rebel forces battling the so-called Islamic State were plunked down into a war of acute risk and geopolitical complexity that is entering its 7th year. Little fanfare accompanied announcement of the relatively diminutive deployment of an advanced artillery unit and support forces, a mission that brings to about 700 the total number of U.S. troops on the ground in Syria, where a brutal civil war has claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands of civilians and combatants and displaced millions. CNN reports, any foreign troops coming to Syria without our invitation or consultation or permission, they are invaders, whether they are American, Turkish, or any other one, Syria's President Bashar al-Assad said. According to The Guardian, Donald Trump's decision to deploy hundreds of U.S. Marines in northern Syria last week has received surprisingly little attention. Unlike Iraq, where Washington is cooperating with a mostly friendly government, the U.S. faces the hostility of Bashar al-Assad's regime, whose removal it still officially seeks. The simplistic idea, promulgated by Trump, that ISIS and its warped jihadi ideology can be annihilated by force is foolish and naive. The Syrian Civil War, which also serves as a proxy war between Russia and the United States, punishes humanity on Earth by contributing to the global war refugee crisis. Foreign Policy reports, when the refugee crisis began in 2015, about 1,500 people were coming to Sweden every week seeking asylum. By August, the number had doubled. In September, it doubled again. In October, it hit 10,000 a week, a nation of 9.5 million. Sweden expected to take as many as 190,000 refugees, or 2% of the population, double the per capita figure projected by Germany, which has taken the lead in absorbing the vast tide of people fleeing the wars in Syria, Iraq, and elsewhere. According to The Independent, the German Interior Ministry said about 280,000 migrants applied for protection in 2016, less than a third of the 890,000 applications received in 2015. Syrians make up the largest group of arrivals, followed by Afghans, Iraqis, Iranians, Eritreans, and Albanians, while Germany and Sweden risk civil unrest at home by offering refuge to victims of war by the millions. What is the United States doing? NBC reports the United States dropped an average of 72 bombs every day, the equivalent of 3 an hour in 2016, according to an analysis of American strikes around the world from the Council on Foreign Relations. According to the New York City-based think tank, 26,171 bombs were dropped on Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, and Pakistan during the year. Some 24,287 bombs were used in Iraq and Syria. In 2015, the U.S. dropped 22,110 bombs in Iraq and Syria, the Council on Foreign Relations reported. The United States of America contributes directly to the global war refugee crisis by dropping bombs on Afghanistan, Pakistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, and Syria. German and Swedish officials risk political capital by accepting refugees from the nations currently being attacked and invaded by the United States of America. President Donald Trump creates consecutive executive orders banning travel among people who would like to escape the bombs he's dropping in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, and Syria. Conservative capitalist Christian Republicans in the United States support Donald Trump's attacks on African and Middle Eastern nations, just like left-wing liberal Democrats supported President Obama's attacks on the same nations.